Hi, my name is Eric Dawson. I'm grandson of the late Lucy Emma Dawson. And I guess the story really begins there. As a young guy, I used to go and visit my grandmother, and she would bake the most amazing peach cobbler for me. I loved walking in the door and smelling the peaches and the cinnamon and the vanilla and the nutmeg. And who would have thought that all of these years later, the comfort that I experienced then as a 6 and 7 year old would give me such peace and comfort now. In 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3 stomach cancer. I had to endure 16 rounds of chemotherapy. That whole journey was very exhausting, mentally and physically. I never sat in that space feeling sorry for myself. It was just things that were happening to me. My body, weight loss, malnourished, the chemo, the shift in chemical balance because of the cancer and all the other things that they talked about. And so, as those things were happening, I was trying to figure it out, and I had never been on so much medication in my life. And so trying to get through all of that fog, my therapist said, Eric, you have to find a happy place to be in. And so in the therapy sessions, we're talking about my childhood and all those kinds of things. And so we talked about my grandma Emma and, what an inspiration she was in my life, what a cornerstone she was in my life. And we talked about her baking and all those kinds of things. But the thing that really resonated with me was the peach cobbler, the smell of the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the vanilla and the peaches. And so I started baking that. And it literally transported me back to when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, running into the house, sitting at my grandmother's feet as she could. And it allowed me to escape from the thought of the next round of chemotherapy and what it was going to do to me and how it was going to feel and all those kinds of things. And so I just started baking more and more and more, and friends and family enjoyed it, and I just kept doing it. And the next thing you know, took it to a store. A friend of mine took it to a store, and she sold out. And she ordered more. I baked it. She sold out again. Yeah. And that was the beginning of it. So we went from 9 farmers markets to 27 farmers markets. We went from 1 ShopRite to 3 ShopRites. We went from, 7 or 8 stores to, restaurants to 30 or 40 stores and restaurants. We went from producing about 1,200 units a week to producing somewhere around 4,000 units a week now. So we're scaling. We were offered or asked in year 1, after selling out in ShopRite, if we had the capacity to produce 17,000 units a week for 200 ShopRites. So we know what's out there. It's just about getting there, and we want to do it smartly. And so we're continuing to prove the concept. We're continuing to drive the numbers. We're continuing to grow the company. And we've got some really exciting things lined up. And who would have thought that now in 2021, I would have baked nearly 92,000 cobblers and have shared them with tens of thousands of people across all of not just New Jersey, but across these United States, because we ship nationally now. And as I reflect on what it is that we do and what it is that I do, we said that, cobbler is a staple for, Southern comfort food. it goes beyond being comfort food and goes to being comfort. Comfort for me and me as a vehicle, comfort for others. I tell folks, and not until you come to a farmer's market will you see it, but the energy that is generated at the farmers markets over these cobblers is extraordinary. Go to the website grandmaemmas.com and you'll see all the markets that we're in. So we do East Orange Farmers Market, we do the Union Farmers Market.
This way I could follow you.
Yes, sir.
I could follow you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for inviting me over.
Oh,
Willie
no worries,
Malone, man. Peace
to
to meet
it's
you.
not always about
Yeah.
buying product,
No,
right? It's
but
about meeting people.
watch-
How are you, man?
I'm
Have you
good.
tried my amazing cobblers?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, I bake the most amazing cobblers. I bake 6 flavors. Peach is our signature cobbler. The interesting thing is, I say here, there's a Southern staple,
Yeah.
right, and comfort for the soul. And in the truest sense of the word, it's been comfort for my soul. It is continuing to evolve. So at first, it was just the baking. But what has provided comfort is meeting and talking to people like you. So being able to come out to the farmers markets, right, and engage with folks. I can't tell you the number of people who, after I've told the story, they've come around the table and hugged me, or they've cried,
Yeah.
or they've shared their cancer surviving story with me, right, or they're in battle of depression or anxiety. And so to be a vehicle of comfort, not just through selling the cobbler, right, but through having gone through the things and being able to empathize with them is just a holistic experience. And so as I do this market after market, I realize that like the cobbler is a tool. It is not the end. It is a tool to something else. And so baking the peach cobbler was just the beginning. So there were some trial and errors. So she didn't have a written recipe. Back then, it was a pinch of this and a dash of that, right? I almost never saw a measuring cup, but I knew what the ingredients were and I knew what the final product tasted like. And so I worked to recreate that based on the ingredients that I knew, and based on the taste that I knew it had. So yeah, I went back and forth, and there are a few modifications to her original recipe. One is more crust. Baking is a science, and so it's not just doubling things, right? It really is trying to find that sweet spot and not lose the flavor, not lose the texture, not lose any of those other things. And so we were able to do that. The second modification was making it vegan, because my grandmother she used Crisco, she used lard, she used butter, right? She used all those things. Oh yeah, man, listen, man, they used all of that stuff. And I was using butter in the beginning and milk. And so I had to figure out how to remove the butter, how to remove all the dairy, and to maintain the consistency, maintain the texture, maintain the flavor. And so that was, again, trial and error, but I was able to do it. Figuring out how to use this tool to provide comfort to others has been my mission. One of the things that Grandma Emma's, that I'm committed to do, is to partner in ways with organizations and people that give that comfort. And Kai's House is one such organization. They're located in upstate New York, and they approached us about doing a fundraiser with our cobbler to help them raise money to build housing for young people to put them on the right track. And you can visit them at kaishouse.org. And so what we do with the cobbler is we jar it, we create a microsite, We allow them, and this is all free, no expense to them. The only charge that they have is designing their logo for the label and printing it. We provide everything else, the jars, the cobbler, the website. And for every jar that's sold through their website, that organization keeps 55% of the proceeds. And we've done that with a few organizations now. It's important for me that this company, that this product, that this recipe that my grandmother created and shared with me, that did so much for me as a 6 and 7-year-old, and is doing even more for me as a 58-year-old, can be used to do a lot for other people as well. Building and operating a business requires a couple things, but I think the main component is focusing on the culture of your business. If your business does not have a good culture, it's not going to attract talented people, and they're not going to want to. Not only are they not going to want to come, they're not going to want to stay. So my job, and I have one job as a CEO and founder of Grandma Emma's, that is to inspire, right? To create and to drive the mission and vision of the company, and to ensure that I surround myself with talented people who can implement the things that we talk about. And then finally, to seek guidance when appropriate. And that's important to understand. So we at Grandma Emma's, as tired as we are exhilarated because we're building something phenomenal. We are a very, very tight family of people who are doing something very, very extraordinary. And so I'm proud right now to be the founder and CEO of Grandma Emma's. But I do hope that as we grow, it outgrows me, because it should. And I look forward to one day, we talked about what the future holds. I look forward to one day having a brilliant CEO prospect come into my office wanting to take the reins and take it to places that I can't even imagine right now. I look forward to that day. I work with some of the most amazing people. And one of the things that we did here, which I think might be unique to building a small business, is that I built it on sharing equity, right? Or revenue sharing. So most of the folks who are working, we have some people who are, just kind of paid a salary. But we have the core group of people who have bought into the vision of the company and who have worked to build different segments of the company, understanding that there will be revenue sharing in those different segments. So we have a fundraising segment. We have our corporate segment, ShopRite. We'll soon be in Food Town. We have our restaurant segment. We have our farmers markets. And then we have our events, which are separate. And I've been able to pull talented people into each of those segments to work on them as almost micro businesses for themselves. In addition, I have probably and arguably one of the most talented chief operating officers, Miss Salvador. Sharon Salvador, I've known her for probably a decade and a half or more. And she has just been my go-to. And what I would say is that any business that you get into, you have to surround yourself with talented people. Diana Murray Clemens is another one who has just been extraordinary in terms of helping organize things and make sure that the business runs smoothly. Mark Duncan, my cousin, who runs the fundraising aspect. Andrella Saxon, who is our brand manager. The list goes on. And so we're looking for people who are excited about an opportunity. not so much a job, but an opportunity, because that's what we offer here at Grandma Emma's. We have opportunities in logistics. We have opportunities in tech. We have opportunities in sales. We have opportunities across the board. In fact, there was a young lady who called me yesterday, as a matter of fact, and she said, listen, I see an opportunity to work in your events department. Now, we don't have an events department, but we may after we interview her, and then she'll head that if she's the right fit. So all I'm selling is the fact that we have the most amazing fruit cobbler. So who would have expected that in a year and a half we would be where we are? Who would have expected in the first year we would have baked 62,000 or so cobblers and sold them, and that we would have been in ShopRite, and that we would be selling out in restaurants throughout New Jersey, and that we would have been doing farmers markets as far north as Vermont, and that we would be shipping as far as Texas and Oregon and Los Angeles? Who would have expected that in a year and a half? We expected it as a team. And what we expect now is continued growth. Our plan for 2021 was to be in 30 farmers markets. In 2020, we were in 9. In 2022, our plan is to be in 60 farmers markets throughout New Jersey and to expand into New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. Our plan for 2022 is to triple the amount of supermarkets that we're in, to more than double the amount of restaurants that we're in. Our plan is to hire more people to work within our organization. Our plan is to partner with more nonprofit organizations to help raise awareness in the areas that they're focused, and to give them financial support through selling our cobbler to help meet their visions. Our plan for 2022 is a bold plan. What I'll say to anybody who's interested in trying to create a business is everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain, but very few people want to climb it. You have to be willing to climb it if you're going to get to the top. And as you climb, you'll see climbing gear left behind, abandoned by those who couldn't go any further. And so they retreated down the hill. Instead of using those things or seeing those things as discouraging signs, you have to use them as inspiration that says you were able to get further. And you have to continue to push further. What I will say is to all entrepreneurs, risk management is a must. You have to constantly evaluate and assess risk to determine what is best for your business. The other thing that I would say, which is critical, no matter what business you're in, you have to be able to understand clearly through data whether you're profitable or not. You have to be able to understand that. And you have to build in an exit strategy. People say you have to have a business plan. I think business plans morph. But you have to have some sort of a structure. And one of the things that I found in working these farmers markets, and I was disciplined enough through being in corporate America to understand some of the things that I'm talking to you about. But what I realized in working in these farmers markets is you have a lot of people with a lot of ideas, but they've not really gone and vetted them properly. And so a lot of them are grinding, but they're losing money in the process because they don't understand the business plan. So understand whether or not your business is making money. Understand the necessary discipline in operating a business, and be prepared to do it. And here's the last thing that I'll say to you. People tell me all the time, Eric, you need to rest. Eric, you need to rest. You need to slow down. I will challenge you to find anyone who got to the top of the mountain, who rested,
I'll challenge you to find any athlete who made it to the top of the game, who didn't go in and labor every single day to perfect their skill. So if you go to rest, understand you're going to be like the rest. You're not going to be like the elite, because the elite don't rest. One of my biggest challenges has been overcoming my anxiety and my depression. Folks don't see this side of it, right? There are many times, I would say, out of a 7-day week, at least 4 to 5 days, when I'm curled up in a fetal position, sometimes agonizing about getting up, wondering if I can get up, and then trying to will myself to push through the anxiety and through the depression. And it's real, right? Mental illness is real. And to come into the bakery and to overcome the self-doubt that inevitably starts to creep in. Can I do this? Do I deserve it? Am I going to be able to get it done? Is this too enormous of a task? Those are really dark spaces. And the battle is real to avoid them. And every single day, I slay the dragon. I go home, I recoup, and I come back in. But it is rough. It is challenging. It is, people don't see it. They see the glory, right? They see, and it is my job, I think, to do that to some extent. To show up at a farmer's market or to show up at a meeting, right? And all smiles and a collared shirt and all of those things. But it is the other piece that people don't see, which you have to get through to get to the suit and the tie and the collared shirt and the smile and all of those things. And so my belief is, if you don't share that part, if you only share with entrepreneurs or would-be business developers this one side, well, when they encounter the other side, they say, nobody told me about that. Nobody told me that I should expect to see that. And I think that's where a lot of them wind up falling short, because they're not prepared for it. And so I'm saying to you that all of it, the naysayers, the people who help promote self-doubt. Oh, you can't go that far. Oh, that's challenging. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Those are some of the early rungs you have to climb on the ladder to get to where it is you have to go, right? And you find yourself, or I can tell you for me, I found myself having to literally turn my phone off because everybody wanted to tell me that it should be this way and then it should be that way and you should do it this way and oh, you're never going to get that done like that, or oh, you're never going to. And I'm telling you, you have to, and I'm not suggesting that you not invite criticism or other points of views in, but I am saying that you want to limit the negativity, because it's hard enough to do it when everything is positive. I thought that it was important to do this documentary for a number of reasons. When I tell my story, or when people hear about the success, the reaction is unexplainable. People want to hug me, they want to talk to me, they want to pray for me, they want to pray with me, they want to know how we got as far as we got. And so, because I can't be all places at all times, I thought a documentary that kind of talked about the business, that kind of talked about the mental illness, talked about, all of these different things could be of use to somebody, that you might find something out of it that might propel you, that might encourage you, that might move you forward a little bit. So I would say, if you are a budding entrepreneur, believe in yourself. Like I say, bet on yourself. If you're battling with anxiety and depression, I decided not to take medication for it. I decided to bet on myself, to push through it, to work with therapists. If you are a cancer survivor or somebody who's going through cancer, and if I can, be of some encouragement sitting here, having gone through a complete stomach removal and a removal of my spleen and part of my esophagus and dealing daily with the pain and neuropathy, right? And 16 rounds of chemo, but still standing. So if that can give you some encouragement, then that's why I did it. Hey guys, you see me in this outfit. I am not a baker. I'm not a baker, but I do have one of these. I respect the baking industry. What I do is I make my grandmother's cobbler. But I love wearing it. I just felt the need to explain it. So make sure you guys check out our website, because we have all of the farmers markets that we're in. They're listed there. So go to did I say too many W's? www.grandmaemmas.com, and then scroll down and you'll see the farmers markets. And as soon as Bimmelton gets to it, we'll have the events listed on the website as well. And you guys can continue to go there to do that. And look, make sure in the end, guys, you support us if you believe in what it is that we're doing. Because we're doing more than just selling cobbler. We're providing comfort. Pay homage to my mom, and to my dad, and to my siblings, and to my family as a whole. The values and lessons that they taught me growing up, and I hear them all the time around the Christmas dinner table or the Thanksgiving dinner table or just the regular dinner table. The impact that my aunts and my uncles, that my cousins, and even my nephews and nieces have had on me are a big part of who it is that I am right now and what it is that I do. And so I want to thank all of them for everything that they poured into me. And I hope that what it is that I'm doing in terms of trying to build a legacy for our family is something that they're proud of. I talk often about the need to build generational wealth. And this is how you do it. My grandfather used to say to me, Eric, you can't leave your children your job, but you can leave them a business. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to do, to build a business that I can not only leave to my children, but leave to my family to carry on with my grandmother's name. Thinking about my grandmother through this whole thing, and you probably noticed the expression change, right? Well, first I want to say, when we got into the first ShopRite, and they put the sign up that said Grandma Emma's $4.99, a lot of my family members went to the ShopRite and they took selfies, right? Because you just kind of have to do that. My grandmother, on the other hand, if she were alive, she would chuckle. She would just laugh. She was such a humble woman. She was a deaconess for all of my life, and my grandfather was a deacon at Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church in Newark. And my grandmother always gave back. was always about the community and wasn't prideful at all. And so she, I think, would be overtly shy, right? And blushing to know that hundreds or thousands of people are saying, "Oh, I want Grandma Emma's peach cobbler." I mean, she would just chuckle, you know. Um, but she would also be proud. She would be proud to know that that we're talking about legacy, right? And that we're talking about remembrance, and that her great grandchildren and great great grandchildren who she never got to meet and who never met her will know her because of this. You know, that in so many families, those who have gone on before us get forgotten. She would relish, I think, in the fact that, not that again, not that it's about peach cobbler, right? But that I saw the essence of who she was as a comforter, and that I've been able to take this amazing dessert that she used to prepare for me, and I've been able to use it as a tool to provide comfort and joy. And I think she'd be pleased, very pleased with that.
I identify as ADOS, as an American descendant of enslaved Africans. And so that whole 400-year journey and the things that my grandmother endured and my grandfather endured. My grandmother never finished middle school, but taught me how to read. But that's only one homage that I've offered to my grandmother. You know, my second oldest daughter is named after my grandmother. So even in naming my daughter after her was about my grandmother not being forgotten, you know, but having her live on. And so to know that like, tens of thousands of people, right, have been introduced to my grandmother through this cobbler is an extraordinary feeling. And to know that financially at some point, generations will be taken care of because of what she did in that kitchen is extraordinary.
and I believe that everybody deserves dessert, but everybody deserves opportunity too. You know how they say sometimes you get a once in a lifetime thing, right? I honestly believe that, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I can feel it. Well, you guys were at the market yesterday. That's how it is everywhere we go. Everywhere.
Yeah.
The energy, the excitement, the people say, "Oh yeah, I had to come and get my cobbler. I had to." This woman. I posted this on my page. She came from Jersey City to Newark, right? She sent me a note. She came from Jersey City to Newark and purchased peach cobbler from the ShopRite. And she said, until we get it in the ShopRite in Newark, she said, I bought my first peach cobbler at ShopRite in Newark. She said, I'm hooked. I will definitely make the trip from Jersey City to get my cobbler. Yeah, like there was a woman. You guys had packed up, and I was packing up, and I was, telling Diane I was going to meet her back at the bakery later.
Yeah.
And then this woman came up to buy. Oh no! It was after we finished, Manny, and then I went back to break down the tent for Diane.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to this woman, and she asked me. She said, "Why are you limping?" Because I walked around and I said, "That's neuropathy." She said, "Oh, you're diabetic?" I said, "No." I said, from the 16 rounds of chemotherapy, I said, I have severe nerve damage in my feet and in my hands, right? I said, so I got a level 6 pain all the time. And it just accelerates from there. But literally, my feet feel like I'm walking on glass, right? And so she said, so how do you do it? I said, I just push through it. I said, I just kind of mentally block it out. I said, and so we started talking about the anxiety, depression, and stuff. And I said, I just push through it all, And so she looked at me and she said, can I give you a hug? So I said, sure. So she hugged me. She said, I felt like quitting. She said, but after talking to you, she said, I'm going to push on.
It's beautiful.
And she took her cobbler and she walked away. And Diane looked at me. I said, that's why I'm doing this documentary. Because I don't know who will get a jewel from this.